Darkside Anakin. We need to talk about this because Kiko and I had this conversation way back, like a year ago, Kiko. We had this conversation about Darkside Anakin, and I know you said there's only a 5% chance of a reissue, and more often than not, it's Batman or Iron Man or something like that. They still have not formally announced this figure yet, so we don't want to get our hopes up too high. But the material on the inner tunic is different. You know, the lightsaber, I've been told, is even a little bit different. So it looks to me like a new figure. So, Kiko, I want to start with you on this one. What's your prediction? Are we going to get this a reissue at all? I am going to predict, and I don't know if you would agree, I think they are going to make this for Obi-Wan Kenobi. They're going to market it as such, and it's going to come with 2 head sculpts, a light side and a dark side, and it's going to be a DX, then with movable eyes. And then everyone who bought the individual ones are going to be very pissed, and they're going to be like, well, fuck this. Now this one's better than the other one. It's not pleather anymore, and it's going to have 2 head sculpts and movable eyes and all that type of stuff. But Kiko, what are your predictions on Darkside Anakin 2.0?
Well, there's no way to ever predict anything, as we've saw today. You know, no one has been able to nail anything down. Mm-hmm. I was a little bit shocked to see this one, but this is not the first time that we've had hey, I'm going to pull this off a shelf and use this for my blogger photos. We've seen that a lot of times before. I am not 100%, as someone who owns both of the light and the dark, I'm not 100% sure, and who've taken hundreds of pictures of said figures. You know, I know them like the back of my hand. I'm not 100% convinced that this is a new figure. I'm not 100% convinced.
Okay.
Because, and I love my conspiracies. You know that too. I don't even think space is real. So we'll get there.
The Earth is flat, bro.
Correct. But with that being said, is that I'm not 100% sure that it's real. I think that at this point, this release, the 501st, was so shitty. And I know you've probably talked about this a little bit. Because most people are like, why do I want these teal 501st? You had to put something else in that photo to get people talking and be like, well, if I have this new Darkside Anakin, then I can go ahead and get these and I can put them together. Yeah, it doesn't match my Rex or my Jesse or my Vaughn or my other 501st, but at least it'll match this new Anakin. I think that's possibly what some people may have said. Now, do I think they're going to, like you had said, go all out with double head sculpts and things like that? I don't know, because then you have to go and buy another body if you want to display them both again. And so then you're out. Or am I going to be pissed? No, because I don't think at the end of the day, anyone's going to be getting that base. I don't think you are. No. The base is one of the coolest things about it. And that's one of the reasons I love it. And I also think we don't see the hair sculpt. What if under that hood, it is like that Alpha Toys and it's just like the rooted. I was like, what if, buddy? So
don't put that evil on us, Kiko.
I know. But I think I'm not 100% convinced, as I said, that this is a different figure. I know everyone's like overanalyzed the shit out of this and the lightsaber hilt and all that stuff. I just think this is some clever photo working, because if you look at right there, that they did not have 3 of those clones to do. They just posed them differently and did a little bit of Gaussian blur behind to make it look a little bit of depth perception. These are 3 separate images that they took together and threw on a green background. This is photo manipulation. You can make that tunic look really good, really high contrast, all those different things. Because I do this, you know that. Mm-hmm, so I could manipulate this if I wanted. I'm just not convinced. And I'm sticking with that, because here's my last thing, as I'll say, is that with this, is that there's always going to be the person that says, I have nothing else to say, because I'll save that for later on.
Okay, because you're about to take a bold stance, aren't you?
Yes.
I could sense it. Yeah, that's true. All right, we'll save it because I want to hear what Carlos thinks. Carlos, what about Darkside Anakin 2.0, bro? What are your predictions overall?
Do I think they're going to make it? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Do you think they're going to make it? Do you think it's going to be a DX? Do you think it's going to be different than the original?
Yeah, I think they're going to make it. Yeah, because you look at something like Stout Suit, you look at something like the Iron Man Mark 46. You know, really big, popular characters that are selling. And in Star Wars, this is probably the main one to chase, right? It's this one and like the 2-pack Han and Chewie. So considering that they have the rights to this character, this actor, then I wouldn't see why they wouldn't make a Darkside Anakin 2.0. You know, if anything, it wouldn't make, like, after Sideshow, I don't even know what to think anymore, you know, but I would assume that it would make a lot of sense if they were to make it. because it's like it's Anakin. Like, and even if you don't get that original base, I mean, that original figure is gonna if your predictions are right, and let's say that they were to be like, yes, we're going to remake this with 2 head sculpts and it's DX and everything. That original one's gonna tank, and the only thing that's gonna hold its value is gonna be that base. That base is gonna be like $100, maybe 80 on eBay. So it's not like you have to hold on to that first figure to buy it. You know what I mean? So the base doesn't really hold that much value, I think, when it comes down to the original figure. So like, if this one sells for like $350, right, and that original figure has the base, what is our original figure going to sell for? A couple $100, right? I don't see anyone who will sell it for $300 when you can buy the new one for $350. The base isn't worth $300 or $250. It's just not, right? So I'm sure it will tank. So.
And same with this one, you get 2 head sculpts. Sorry, Kiko. Go
right,
ahead.
right. Assuming you that prediction is right, then yeah, the first one will tank, and that base is the only thing that's worth something, and you can buy that separately. People will literally start selling that base individually.
They probably would, yeah.
Yeah, at that point, just because they know that's the best way to make the most amount of money. Some people on eBay will probably start selling it for $150 or something like that. Just
people
so
will probably buy it, honestly.
Yeah.
Kiko, what were you going to say?
I was going to say 2 things with this, and I'm just playing devil's advocate to talk myself into knowing that this isn't coming as a 2.0, is that there's a big blue banner that says "As Seen in Obi-Wan Kenobi."
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to do this figure or whatever, why would you put the one with the Sith eyes in this picture? And that's the one that's interesting to me, because we know, if as a Star Wars purist and lorist or whatever, he has those eyes only in the Mustafar duel. That's it.
Yes.
That's the only place he has them.
Mm-hmm.
So why would he be here? Because you don't see them even in the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show. So why would you put that here? And so that one is odd to me. And because that they send these obviously through, and I'm sure that at this point they probably don't even give a fuck. They send these pictures to Lucasfilm to sign off on. I'm assuming, like, hey, because you can't put 2 clone troopers humping each other or something, and they're like, hey, we're gonna put these out there. Are you cool? So either way, that's something I think is interesting, is like, why would you put that on there other than just to get people talking? But then the idea of, like, as soon as these 501st were announced, because I love eBay, everyone is on eBay and the BSTs, and they're like, Darkside Anakin for sale. This is the thing that blows my mind. People, and maybe it's just because they have like this giant like end game that they want to play, and this giant ledger of like plus and minus, and they consider like, okay, I started with a penny, now I'm up to a computer, of trading all my stuff in back and forth. Do you really want to take a figure this good? Because he's a really good figure. He's he's my favorite figure in my collection. I would be dumb fucked if I said, you know what, I'm going to take this figure out of my collection for 2+ years without the announcement of a 2.0 coming, and say, okay, I'm just going to hold out and wait. I would never do that, but it's also my favorite character and my favorite figure. So taking it out of the shelf on the hope that something may come, it blows my mind that people do that. And they're like, okay, cool. It might come, and then you'll sit there and have the Loki delay of 900 days potentially, and you'll never get this thing. And so, like, I will never take something out of my collection before a new version comes out. I've upgraded the Vision, I've upgraded the stealth suit cap, things like that. But that's because they're here. I'm not going to get something out and upgrade on a hope. I just won't ever do that.
Yeah, and see, Kiko, I know Carla, I'll let Carla speak to this too, but I will, just because I'll kind of forecast the market a little bit. And the reason what I did it, Kiko, is because, like, I've told the story, a lot of people are probably tired of hearing it. Someone gave me $760 for my Anakin. So I was like, you know what? And this is before Obi-Wan even came out. I knew Obi-Wan was a show and it was going to happen. I was like, I know the prices this is going for. They're probably going to remake it at some point, Obi-Wan or not. So I think at some point I'll take my chances. And like Carlos has always told me, if not, you wait, say worst case, a couple years, you buy it again high. You buy it for what you sold it for. So you're not at a loss of anything. And honestly, even without Obi-Wan, this figure started to kind of trend downwards anyway. Even before this picture even popped up. So I get where you're coming from, though, about your favorite character. I do understand that. And for example, like Avengers Loki, I was not going to sell my Loki until I knew Endgame Loki was actually a thing. So I get it. If it's your favorite character, I get kind of all rules tend to go out the window when that happens. Like, you accept mediocrity. You don't want to get rid of the figure for even a reissue. But for example, Carlos and I have talked about the Winter Soldier. I sold my Winter Soldier. It had light to moderate pleather peeling, right? Sold it at a pretty good price still, but I'm still banking on the fact that they're going to do one because he showed up in a flashback in the show. So I'm like, okay, well, they'll probably do that eventually. If not, there'll be one sort of anniversary or something where he'll pop up and they'll do it, right? That's kind of the approach that I take. I get where you're coming from, though, as far as favorite characters. Like I said, it's a different ball game, but I do feel like I will tend to sometimes forecast the market if I know that I can turn a profit and then go and get the superior figure for cheaper. Like I will kind of roll the dice with that. But Carlos, how do you do the same, don't you?
Yeah, because in my the way I view it is that look, you could have been that person who had a Mark 47. You had a $1,500 figure sitting there and you were like, no, I want the figure so badly because, you know, this piece that is in my collection means so much to me that I can't live without it. I just don't believe in that. I don't think anything is too important where you couldn't get rid of it unless it was like a custom or something where it's not like you can just get it. But these are mass produced things. So I'm always been the case of like, hey, if something's at its absolute peak, the hype is there, sell it. Give yourself a year or year and a half. And if there's no announcements, not even an announcement, go back and rebuy it. And because Riley did the same, right? Yeah. He sold his Darkside Anakin right, I think, at the peak of after Kenobi, and he sold it for like $8 or $8.50. And I told him, like, don't spend that $8.50, keep it aside, wait 6 months, 9 months. And if nothing is announced, go back and rebuy it. Because then, you know, you bought high, and 6 or 9 months from now he was able to get one for $490. So he pocketed $300 and something, $350, something like that, right? So I've always been in that case, like sell it at the peak, just hold on a little bit, give yourself like 6 months or a year and go back and rebuy it. I just don't think that there's anything, even an Iron Man, like if the Mark 7, the statue I have now, if that thing was to become like an ultra gray or something, and it was to like skyrocket to like $7,000, I would probably sell it because I know that if it's that popular, other companies are going to make it. And there's just nothing that's a piece of whatever polystone or whatever plastic that's important enough for me not to move on from it. I just don't have the connection to anything, not even Iron Man to that extent. Obviously, there's some pieces you can move, like a life size or again, a custom piece. And I understand that. But that's me, though, right? Because I'm going to try to look at it and try to forecast certain things as well. Because at the end of the day, it's just, you know, I'm still gonna get it. Don't get like it's not like I'm gonna go on for like 5, 6, 7 years without the piece on my collection, but I can live 6 months or a year without it just so I can see where the market is and then rebuy it. Worst case scenario.
And
that's just me.
Yeah, like Carlos, like you said, like with Kiko, like if it being your favorite character, like what I paid for Cloud and the bike, Carlos. I mean, my pre-order fell through and I ended up getting Cloud and the bike for a little under $800. I mean, so right. I mean that was originally like maybe a $450 to $500 set. Right. And I paid 1.5 times to 2 times retail for it. And I love it. And, I'm happy with that. So, but it sucks. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, they can make another version from the game again. And I could be like, well, that kind of sucks. But at the end of the day, it's my favorite character. So one of my favorite characters. So you're willing to make exceptions. So
yeah, it's like Black Panther, the Civil War one, right? Like look at that one. It reached at its all-time peak about a year ago, right? Right. It was like $500-$600. And now you can buy it for $200.
Yep. And same with the Solo movie version too. Actually, that one's gone down a bit too.
Yeah. Because if you just sell it at a peak and just wait 6 to 9 months or even 12 months, I don't think that it's not like, I understand if he's your favorite character, but I mean, us collectors, or 95% of collectors, you buy one, you look at it, you pose it, now on to the next one, and on to the next one, and on to the next one. So it's not like you're like looking at this figure every single day. Maybe you are, Kiko, because Anakin's your favorite. But aside from that, I don't believe most of us are doing that with a Mark 47, with a Black Panther, maybe right after, the death of Chadwick. But aside from that, I just don't see why you wouldn't take advantage of that. Like, I don't know. I guess I just don't believe that I need something so badly in front of me that I wouldn't capitalize on that and wait 6 to a certain amount of months. And again, and if it's not there, you buy it, and if it gets reissued, then oh well, you already, it is what it is at that point, which I've told you that all the time.
And reissues do happen less frequently. Kiko did a great video you guys should check out about. They do happen.
I need to do a reissue of that video is what I need to do.
Yeah.
I probably should. I think we're coming up on another topic that I want to address when we get there, because there's something I want to say about the reissue thing, and I don't want to just bog us down with this one.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, guys, great thoughts on that topic.